Welcome back to the Lowe Down, the podcast that takes you inside every battle, strategy, and shocking moment from Foxes to the Floor. I'm Zack, aka Trees, and as always, I'm joined by my co-hosts.
Devin B. Road trip here, and trust me, we had a lot, and I'm looking at a lot to break down from episode 7.
And as always, it's your man, Scary Terry, Bodies of Water. This week, we've got some big shakeups to discuss, including a shocking win and some heartbreaking eliminations.
Absolutely, and today we have a panel of contestants from episode 7 joining us. Phil, who took the pasta category, Cassie, our aviation expert, Jay, who faced off in Congress, and Mike, Mountain Mike, who clinched a nail-biting victory in hunting and camping to become only the third person to win money on the floor. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for
thank
having
you.
us.
Oh, I am going to get the mic because that is a crazy stat. There were 7 episodes in, and he's only the third person to win money. But we have to start from the beginning. And I know I normally give you my numbers breakdown, but I don't think I have the time. And I want to make sure these people shine that are on the scene with us today. So we start off with Baron. And it was like, ooh, some new faces coming up on the floor. And he does backyard games. Fun time. He takes it and he goes back on the floor because he really wants to defend Marvel, which is cool. Because I also would want to defend Marvel if that's my category.
Yeah.
And then, dun, 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 dun. Who is the next to battle? Are you ready to talk about it?
I'm ready.
So how did you feel when the lights finally shined on you?
Oh man. Okay, so when the lights kind of shone on me, I think I was like, I want to play aviation. And I think in that exact moment, if I'm being honest, I was like, I get to play aviation. But I realized that was not what was happening. Um, yeah, so lights shone on me and I went for Congress, went for Jay, which was a shocker because I think even myself, I'd always said I'm gonna go big money, big money. But then I thought, let's take the one square here and go back to the board. And I think in my head, I was like inch by inch, everything's a cinch. Just don't. My dad always says, yard by yard, everything's hard. So I was like, I'm not gonna go, but the big squares. But that was sort of my mindset in that moment. Yeah. So,
And
No, we're gonna
and
call you
Devin,
out because we called you out on the floor. How does the woman in boots not go for rodeo?
yes, I thought about that. I was like, maybe they picked me because they were hoping I'd pick rodeo. I think at that point, I Congress is the only thing that hadn't changed for me. So rodeo was changed, like everything was changing. I really didn't study much of rodeo, and knowing Brian being Brian, like going back to the floor at that point, he had gone back to the floor 2 episodes prior, and I was like, this guy's had a lot of time with the rodeo. I'm scared I'm gonna get up there and rodeo's gonna be like, name the famous rodeo, bull riders or something like that. And so I was like, I'm too scared for this. But Congress, I thought I had Jay for a little bit. I'm sorry, Jay, but I was like, I thought I had him and I thought like I just gotta get past like 2 or 3 and maybe Jay might stumble on something or so. So I was a little doomed either way, but you do your
and
best.
and having called that out on our podcast, this is the first time we've had guests that dueled.
It's true.
So I'm a little looking forward to that. So he's
That
got that
is
shirt
true.
on already representing.
Go on,
There it is.
baby.
There
They
it is.
play tonight. He does work it for the university, so we got to get
That
him
is
going
true.
too. But yeah, to have you two against each other. So Jay, when she gets randomized, kind of, we haven't had this. What are you feeling?
Um, I, man, I'm me and Cass have talked about this, obviously. I was prepared, but I did think Cassie was going to go for Brian. That's what I thought was going to happen. But that's not what happened, obviously. And I think that I think a lot of people knew that I was ready to play. And sort of the thing Cassie was just describing when she was like, "All right, let's do Congress." I was like, "Oh, cool! I get to play Congress." And I was pretty confident in that category. I said it on the floor that like I'm a poli-sci major. I'm surprised they let me say Twitter. I thought they might cut it because it's now something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I I wanted to play my category and I was really excited and I was pretty confident. I felt good. That's honestly one of the reasons I was surprised was because I thought Cassie, I really thought you would have figured I had it.
Okay, I have a confession to make, and I did not say this in the interviews or
This
anything
is
like
juicy.
that. But so the real reason why I picked you, Jay, is because I like when we were in that, I think it was the green room and kind of studying, we were a little bit near each other. So I was in the couch area and Jay had a table near me. And I can't remember if I had headphones on and I just muted them to kind of, make it look like I was like in my zone. But I had heard a conversation going on at Jay's table where I was positive I heard Jay say, like, I don't really know how I'm gonna do, I don't know Congress or something like that. And somebody saying fake it till you make it. And I was like,
Strategy.
yes,
Hmm.
I'm in. And
Uh-oh.
perhaps I was hearing something else. Perhaps like it was a ruse to like maybe you thought I was listening. So you're like, I'm gonna say this. But it got whatever happened got me. And like that was really why I was like, all right, I think I got an in here. But
Gee, it worked.
yeah, it worked. So good job.
I'm going to say, frankly, I don't recall that, and I don't know. I mean, I'm sure we'll get to it, but I was, excuse me, pretty transparent about my whole deal, I felt. But yeah, I don't know. It was a category I felt pretty good about, and I do think I got a little bit lucky with what I was served.
Yeah.
I know I hit my hard ones, and I would have been fired. I'm, I'm the archivist for athletics at the University of Michigan. I would have been fired if I had missed Gerald Ford, a
Hmm.
football
Hmm.
player who was later president. Um, but I've got that screenshot now, and having the screenshot of me with Gerald Ford, that's going to take me in the archives a very long way. So I'm excited. But no, I knew. I really felt that I was gonna perform, so I was excited.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
you
got to show
crushed
up. I
it.
got to do my category, and it was
I
it was
think you
sick.
just revealed some new meta. We talked about it in an interview with Alex, how he was baiting people to come and do natural history,
Uh-huh.
and you inadvertently baited Cassie into coming at you by like,
Yeah, I
I don't know
guess.
what I'm doing. I'm just going up on the floor. Yay!
Obvious,
Uh,
obviously, Devin, they
I
didn't they didn't have the agreements like we had of, hey, after episode 9, it's on. And Zach had his agreements of destruction. So I kind of it's interesting because we all have those floor areas of what they were, and it sounded like based even on watching the episode, like Jay was surprised she was coming in because they both said, hey, we're going Brian.
Mhm.
And then to get, basically blitzkrieg like that. I mean, he's like,
Yeah, I
come.
was hoping the element of surprise really would just like
Mm-hmm.
get him or
Mm-hmm.
something. But ultimately, I think my biggest thing was I should have gotten to know Jay more and known like, hey, yeah, like the second I walk up there and he opened his mouth, I was like, he's gonna crush it. Crap. But it was,
Cassie, something
fun
just popped
nonetheless.
into my brain. You
Yes.
said you were going to go back down to the floor if you had beat Jay when that money was looking you square in the face. That $20,000 rodeo show was right there.
Yes, I was like, I want to take one square and I want to go back. And then I was like, I'm
Hey,
hoping something else happens somewhere else for a little bit and I can like reprocess and study, but
She
that's
was
not
there
there's
for the
what
nothing wrong
whole
with that. Nothing wrong with one square and back.
I
happened.
I wish that would have happened.
Yeah.
Yes. Mountain Mike would be a little bit richer if she had won one square and back. So,
Oh my goodness. Well, Cassie,
True.
in the words of a hip hop song I listen to every once and again, scare money don't make no money.
true.
Very
So,
true.
so Jay, you won the battle. You knew from the start that you were going to go after Brian the whole time. During that duel, did anything surprise you up there on that stage?
No, I mean, I felt like I was ready, and it didn't go my way. I don't feel like I don't think like the things I got were shocking. I just, I got them wrong. I passed quickly. It didn't go my way. But I actually think you can kind of barely hear it at the on the show at the end of my duel with Brian. I say, all right, I got my shot. I got what I want. And that is, I really wanted the shot. I had for the only categories I studied basically the whole time I was on the show were directors and rodeo, because I just knew. I know the way I think, and I knew if I crowded my head too much, it wouldn't actually be that effective. And so I studied Brian's categories. And yeah, I wanted my shot. I got it. I took it, and it happens. C'est la vie.
I can't even get mad at it.
Yeah. I love how similar it was to the Derby stuff that I studied. I was like,
Yes.
over half those things are things that I studied for Derby, and I was like, oh man, I could have taken that if I was on the opposite side of the floor.
And you knew what Louisville looked like. I'm just playing with you, Zach. I'm sorry.
Grid, man. Yes.
Nice.
But we have some other guests on here. We have some duels, and I will say this: I am a fan of this duel because I was impressed with the knowledge and how quickly these two people did it. When pasta came upon the floor, I was like, "Are these two people Italian?" Straight up from Italia, because they were naming pasta so fast and so rapidly, and I was like, "I like pasta." But I don't know pasta like these people know pasta. Phil, it's your show. Tell me what was going through your mind and why did you decide to challenge pasta? Because you knew it.
well,
You knew it.
What were your other options, Phil?
My
I'd like to
options
hear.
were you, brother.
Oh.
And I was like, I'm not going against my man over there because you're a fan favorite, and I wasn't having it.
Oh, you're a fan favorite. Yeah,
thank
I
you.
heard somebody said the only thing higher than your hair or something. I mean, I heard those comments.
You heard some comments. I heard some comments. And Latin musicians, which I don't listen to a lot of Latin music. I might have done okay in it after watching it hindsight, but and pasta. So it was like easy for me. I grocery shop for our family and I cook for our family, and so it was right there for me. I was like, I gotta go pasta, man, and I did okay until Ditalini showed up, and I was like, goes in minestrone, what's it called? No, and then cavatappi, I should know because I've made it many times. Shout
I was
out
worried
to
about that. I was like, were you just like,
Shout out Hello Fresh.
Cavatappi?
And of course, anytime you go into a fancy restaurant and you order mac and cheese nowadays, it's cavatappi with breadcrumbs on top. And I should have known it. And so, anyways, that was the downfall of your boy. But I definitely had a blast, and I would do it 100 times over. I would do it 100 times over. The people are just amazing. The crew, the cast, just the people working everywhere, giving me candy, giving whatever, if I need something to drink, I need something to drink. They're like on it. They're on it. It was so great. And I had such a great experience, and I would do it again 100 times over, like I said. So
I guess I got a question for you, Phil.
Yep.
Because as a layman of the pasta fam, it was interesting when y'all was giving very specific names of pasta, and then every once again it'd be like Will. And I'm like, come on, man.
Wheels, and nailed it, and then I wasn't quite sure exactly what happened there, but when they played it back yesterday, he said the shape or the name of the pasta. And I was like, that's interesting. He said the shape. Is that because they gave me wheels? Because I took wheels. I took it. And then shells, obviously. But she said the name of shells, though, before she said the shells. And they did not recognize the actual name of the pasta of shells.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was impressive. She was very impressive. And I couldn't have lost to a better person. She's really great. So, yeah, again, good times.
Do you know the sauces, too?
I know a few of the sauces.
Devin really wants to know
shopping. I do the shopping around here. You know what I mean? A lot of boiling, a lot of tossing, right?
Phil, my question is, Phil, is let's say it goes a little different and you don't get that, you win.
Yeah.
What would have been your strategy?
Go straight for Brian in the fastest way possible.
Were you then I don't have the map right in front of me. Sometimes
I
I have
was
it sitting here.
one space away.
Because I know I was, but you would probably gonna have to
Yeah.
go to Eras
Marvel?
or
Uh,
Marvel
I
or
might have to beat
Bodies of
Barrett,
Water.
but I'm a comic book collector, as you can see. And I felt very confident. Very confident.
Okay.
I know minute characters. I can't wait to see that battle when it
Me
actually
too.
happens.
Same.
Mhm.
But I do know characters behind characters, sons of those characters. So I'm pretty sure that like I would have done well in it. And if I didn't, I would have gave it my best. You know what I mean? Because hey, it would have been just as entertaining as that pasta battle, man.
Well, minus Cassie, there's a lot of characters on this podcast right now. So, I mean, she's legit. She's legit, and we have a lot of characters left in here. So,
Yes. Yes. Cassie's a good one for sure.
mhm.
So Phil, did you know anything about aviation?
Yes, I actually work for a company. We do business with Boeing.
Oh,
They're my
oh,
main customer, actually. So I do know fairly a lot about aviation, actually.
that,
That
so
that
we would
probably
have had maybe a little bit of a
I,
duel.
I
We
would have
would have
had
had
to
a little
come
bit of a
after her.
duel.
Yeah, I would have had to go for her. Yeah, in order to get to Brian, which was my ultimate goal, because I
I
wanted
would
to take
love
him
that.
down.
Mhm.
That would have been fun to see the aviation one. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah,
I still can't. Yeah, I
yeah, I
cannot wait.
can't wait to see that battle. It's going to be fantastic.
Man, this Terry. I guess we're at that point where there's people who are literally waiting. I wonder how did my category do well?
Yeah,
We're still looking for trees. We're still
A lot
looking
of
for
us out there.
yeah.
aviation.
Trees
How
would be
does that
great.
battle, songs of the year, how is that
Yeah,
actually going to go down
I'll tell you,
and get to see it?
Devin. The
And
thing
so
about
we got to see a new person entered the chat, as the young people like to say, where we had some battles for the Latin music, uh, and for colors. Colors was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I don't know if I was the only one who looked at
no,
the
I,
colors.
I
I
thought it
haven't
was
heard of any
easier.
of them.
Yeah, I don't remember it.
I didn't know what they were.
I thought it was just going to show like the color, and then like you just got to pull up the name. But the
Yeah,
fact that it was kind of fill in the blank made it a little easier because you
I
had
don't
the
know.
color and
What
Uh,
happened to burnt sienna, man? What happened to burnt sienna? I was like, what is Purple Mountain's Majesty? I loved the line in the song, of course, but really? There's a crayon called Banana Mania?
yeah.
It was
Yeah, that was a
really
tough
Okay.
it
one.
was really Ben and Jerry's meets Crayola. It was, and I
Yes.
feel like
Yeah.
I feel like honestly though, of the other ones last night, I mean, just being honest here, like you both, Phil, you would have dialed me in pasta. You would have dialed me, but I felt like I could have done the colors. Like I was looking at the different. It's just weird how we study. I mean, I did take a page out of Zach's binder. And so there were some things in there. I've touched his binder. I still possess his binder, and some of those things are in there. So but like the picture page he had of pasta, it was just they were too similar to the fettuccinis to the linguinis. I'm like, so one's skinnier and one's not. I'm like, now are
Yeah.
we fat shaming in pasta? I was upset about it. I was like, I'm not going pasta. Like
Well,
Terry, I
figured,
felt the same way. I looked at that
Yeah.
same page and I was like, nah, this not for me. And I just flipped to the next
mhm,
one.
So but I think that's interesting too when you think about the whole scheme of the show of who thinks they could have done what and who would have went where and like I enjoy Marvel. I'll watch it and stuff like that. But again, somebody who has that comic book type, background or something of that, and even knowing a little bit about Mountain Mike and his claw features and stuff,
Yeah.
and now following him after the show, like I wouldn't have not known, but like he would have beat me in Care Bears, stuffed animals, anything that you can find in a claw machine, and like you just don't know these things. You get to know the people on the floor, and that's the dynamic people at home don't get to see. And I'm glad that we get to share that a little bit here because when we get to Mike, I want to know how he does his job. When we get there, I'm so intrigued. So I'm excited about that too.
Yeah, that's yeah.
So let's get there.
yeah.
They
Let's go.
challenged Mike
Let's take that
because
heist.
if you get that hunting and camping category, you now for the first time get an equal share of the floor. Stephanie challenges you. What are you thinking at that moment? Did you think that was going to happen like that, or did you like, oh, okay, I'm good?
I honestly didn't think any of those girls around me were going to end up challenging me because there had been some chatter, leading up to those duels. Oh, this side of the board was getting close in size, so we knew it was a possibility. But like Safa had been saying, she wanted no part of hunting and camping. And Georgie, I don't think if she had won, she wouldn't have challenged me in hunting and camping. Like I think I was intimidating enough for a lot of them that aren't hunters or campers. They're all East Coast girls that don't do those things as much. And
Well, Safat did
so
Star Trek, and that impressed me. So
and
Nailed
see,
Star.
and if Safat had won, I think she would have gone after Baron instead with Marvel. And so, like, because that also would have tied up the floor.
mm,
So, really, I think Stephanie was the only one that I was kind of worried about might come after me. And, what they don't show on the episode is, the longer 10 minutes of time where she was trying to decide on stage whether to do it or not. And I'm like doing my best to be like, I'm ready. Let's do it. Come on, bring it on. Like, I want it because I personally, like, I was going to be happy either way, but I wanted to stay in my corner. I didn't want to go up there and do the duel. I wanted to keep my three squares here, stay on the floor, keep my category. So I was prepared to go up, but I didn't think it was going to happen. But I guess I just wasn't quite intimidating enough, so she still went with it.
She was the
Well,
claw machine there. She just picked you right up off the floor and placed you next to her to battle. So
but Mike, we have to say this. We as a formally
I love that.
long underwear
long
or
job.
say
Underwear.
Oh my
pass
gosh.
20 seconds. I have to look back at the clock, but I swear
It
that
was
was
about
the
20 seconds.
longest
That was just for the
non-pass
drama.
pass for long underwear I had ever seen on the floor. And I thought, and Terry's probably thought, oh, Mike is cooked. It's a wrap for that man. It's been fun knowing him
Mhm.
because what was happening in that particular moment?
You know, we've seen plenty of people freeze up and not realize it's their turn. I froze up and forgot I could pass, and,
but
and
that's
so I'm
honest.
like,
That's honest. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Like,
so for that entire time, I was just trying to come up with an answer, and it wasn't coming to me. I've never worn long johns or long underwear. Technically, long johns are a two-piece item if we're going to be technical about
Oh,
it.
Gotcha.
And those were clearly hanging on the line as one pieces. So, is a hot dog a sandwich? Is, long underwear a onesie? We
and
could
where
go
I'm
back
from,
and forth on
long
that.
johns are donuts because don't think I don't know about my donuts.
So I
I was
in my mind,
the whole time
if we
Mike
didn't
was
take
looking at
onesie,
that.
I wasn't going to get there. So,
Yeah, the whole time,
um,
Mike, you were looking at that, I was just like, "Oh my God!" Because we talked to him, and I was like, "He's looking up, and he's like, the claw, like in Toy Story." I'm like, he's mesmerized by the claw, is what he's
and I
doing.
did not realize just how much time was coming off my clock until like when I finally said pass, I took a little glance down at the timer and it was like 11 seconds. I'm like, oh, I'm cooked now. So I knew I was going to have to get them in like 1 or 2 seconds, the rest of the way. Luckily, I only had to get a few more and I got those in 1 or 2 seconds. So, you
well,
know,
it turned into a
and
great
I think
battle.
I ended up with like 5 seconds left over too. So I could have gone a couple more even. So, I was prepared for almost everything in my category, just not that.
Well, there's a saying, Mike. Baby shine, I mean, God shines on babies and fools. And I don't know which one you were up on that stage. But the great glorious light determined that you were going to get that 10,000 that night because ain't no way that was supposed to go down the way it did. But we appreciate it. I'm going to push forward to my favorite part of the night of the podcast where I get to ask our guests, who were your MVPs? What were your highlights? And who do you think is going to win the floor? Remember, no spoilers. Remember, we don't know what happens after this. Yeah, So at that moment, who did you think had the best possibilities of winning and who are your MVPs? Cassie, let's start with you.
Okay. Ooh. MVPs. All right, I'm a little biased here. I really loved the duel that Alex did the week prior. So I was like, all right, he's coming up. He's getting a couple, but I would say Tony, she's got a lot of squares there. So she's kind of my like, I think she's gonna sit back. People are intimidated, and I think that Tony's got like, a good chunk of space. Lastly, I'm like, I don't know. Luck's been going for Brian. Like, people might just come at him and like, the guy is like a jack of all trades. He seems to know everything. So I don't really know. I'm gonna go somewhere in Alex, Tony, Brian range.
How about you, Jay? What's your MVPs, your highlights? What did we see?
I mean, you know, I didn't think Brian was going to win the show. Obviously, he had been the MVP up to then, but it just we were still on episode 7. That's so long to hold on. Um, by consolidation, I thought your randomizer was luck. It just had to, but yeah. So I didn't think I at the time, but I would actually agree that Alex N is one of the people who I really thought was going to win. And then I thought David Madden because no one was going to challenge him. Has not played yet where we are.
No,
I don't
no,
think I watched him duel at all.
unfair.
And no, and so I thought he was going to scare people away into hanging on. Um, and
How
maybe
about
he
you,
did.
Phil?
Well, the first day I sat next to Michael, SNL, on the bus, and he had so many flashcards. He knew everyone from Saturday Night Live that had been on one episode of the show. And that's why he was able to tell you exactly how many people that they had in the cast when he mentioned it to Rob. He went through those flashcards with me on the bus ride, and it was incredible. And I thought this guy's awesome. He had flashcards for everything, and I thought he's got a really good chance. And then he got taken down. And I sat next to Alex a lot, and I watched him. He's a very smart person, and I thought he's gonna win it. And as soon as I saw what was happening, I was like, he's gonna win it. So I'm kind of still rooting for that to happen because I love him as a person. So um I don't know. It was just such a fun experience, and I love all of you. But it was, if I'm really calculating in my head who I think is going to win the game, either who we have not seen yet, uh, Mr. Jeopardy champion over there in the corner, you know,
Yeah.
he whose name shall not be mentioned. And it's David. Just kidding, it's David. And Alex.
He's in the blue.
And they were both Jeopardy. So I
Also true.
and of course I thought Jay, you're brilliant also, but I just, I kind of out of the gates was like, this looks like it's gonna be really fun.
Really fun.
to watch. So I tried to give it my best because I wanted to go up against those giants, and
Yeah.
that's the way the cookie crumbles, I suppose. Yeah.
And Mike, we could actually ask you a different question. You now are in control of the board. Who scares you the most at this point in the game?
Oh, who scares me the most?
Are we talking about categories or if like they give him a dirty look? I mean, I have a nickname, but
They say the tallest blade of grass is the first to be cut down. So you have the territory. You know they're coming for you.
So I now have rom-coms. And so there's suddenly a lot of people that scare me the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, I've watched a fair share of rom-coms, but I would in no way in my everyday life say I am a rom-com expert at all.
So would you say
and
then
there's-
all the ladies that were afraid to go after you for hunting and camping now want to
Exactly.
go
All
after
those
you?
same people are now the people I'm scared of.
Mike is now a player, and all the ladies want some Mike in his rom-coms. I'll tell you that right now.
Hey,
Yeah,
wait,
so-
Terry. He's a player from the Himalayas. Mountain Mike.
Mountain mention. I like it.
Surrounded by people that haven't been randomized that are on deck.
True.
There's Ash right there, there's Kathy right there, there's Katina right there. There's a bunch of ladies surrounding me that are just raring to go at this rom-com territory. So
Yeah, I think it's important to point out all the people that haven't been randomized yet. We're still barely past halfway of the show. And that whole section from the top to the bottom, there's like a straight line of people that just haven't been randomized.
I'm going to try to get that number while we're talking.
Okay. So you have a lot of people. I mean, you got Ted right there in the very middle. You've got Mari.
Ted might be a secret rom-com guy.
That line.
You know Ted's a rom-com guy. Come on. Who's that? But you've got a lot of people that still have yet to be randomized. So as far as who's the giant out there, we know a bunch of giants right now, but who's the sleeper?
Yeah.
I told you who the sleeper was, man. I told you.
In the court, David. Cassie and Jay, did the rest of the episode shock you how it went down? And I guess I gotta say quickly because we're running out of time, but I was curious.
Yeah, a little. I mean, it was really exciting to watch it from that point because you don't really know what happens. But yeah, it was a shocker. I mean, I would say like during like our viewing party last night, I had people and I was like, wait, everyone be quiet. Hold on, I need to see what happens. And I really thought Stephanie had it in the bag. Like I was like, all right, girl,
As she should have.
like, okay, what's gonna happen here? I was like, are you winning some money? And then it was boom. So yeah, that shocked me for sure.
I think the main thing that not necessarily shocked me, but Mike's win last night, it hit me that it was like the first big thing that happens on the floor that I just had, I had no idea it was about to happen. And I'm really excited about just like kind of being a fan for the rest of it. I think I got out a fun time for that where I like got to hang out for a while, but now I just get to be a fan for like a little less than half the season.
Yeah.
That was 100% what shocked me.
What
was that?
Did you find those numbers, Terry?
26 people still, 42 on the floor, 26 are still able to be randomized in single square.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
is all y'all keep going after y'all. Them big whales go after each other. Y'all don't want to mess with the little single pieces right now.
I would do that differently this time. So
I just want to say Mike is what shocked me. The Long John thing. I thought there was no chance he's going to win this duel. No chance.
I heard the next
duel.
I loved it.
I was screaming with my wife sitting next to me. I'm screaming from our couch last night watching the show, Mike. I'm so proud of you, man. That was so great.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, we were having our watch party last night and everyone's like, "Oh, you brought us all over here just to lose like this?" And then I turn around, everyone's like, "How did that happen?"
Hey, look, and then they're like, "Hey, can I borrow $1?"
Everyone's told me that I'm getting Long Johns for Christmas and my birthday this year. So
that's a lot of donuts. I'll take that. That's a lot of donuts. I'm good.
Oh man, this has been an amazing, fun conversation. I wish we could extend it longer, but maybe we can. This more episodes, more seasons, and we can definitely have you back on a conversation. Zach, take us away.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in to the Lowe Down. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube.
And you better drop a like, comment, subscribe, or I'm coming after you.
Thank you so much.
Definitely. And if you have any questions, send it to the lowdownonthefloor@gmail.com, and then you might hear them on the next episode. And please like and subscribe because we are trending. We're on the charts, people. We're doing big things.
Let's go. Moving on up.
Thank you so much, Cassie, Jay, Phil, Mike, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Bye, friends.
Take care, everyone.
Yep.
All right.